I keep seeing horseshoes. Oh
Right
my God, that's crazy.
That is the horseshoe that he found from my horse on my farm.
What?
Yes.
Are you kidding me? Well, right away, there's a couple souls that are trying to get my attention. Right away, your father passed.
Yes.
So know that he's stepping forward because I saw him sitting right with you when I'm connecting. And right away, when I'm connecting with your father, okay, there's a couple things that he's showing me here in this world. And first of all, when I'm connecting with him, he keeps talking about a procedure or an operation.
He had a procedure
Okay.
that was supposed to save his life.
He tells me that this is the reason why he had to come through, because he keeps saying to me, Matt, I wasn't supposed to die this way. I wasn't supposed to die this way. He says to me that first of all, he wants to apologize for how rushed everything was with his passing. When I'm connecting with your dad, he looks like he was fine on the outside, but on the inside, he was dealing with all of these issues that he's showing me. And first of all, when I'm connecting with your dad, I keep seeing organ failure with him.
Yes.
So when I see organ failure, I believe that when your dad had gotten that surgery, that procedure, I believe that his body was already extremely weak here in this world. Your father shows me that before he had that procedure, right? I want to take you back a little bit. He tells me he just got over being sick. He goes, Matt, I was sick. I just got through it. He talks about having to have a procedure. And then next thing you know, he was supposed to be okay. Is that true?
Yes.
His body was extremely weak. And going through that procedure made your father even weaker, he shows me. And your father tells me that he got sick right afterwards and he wasn't able to fight off whatever was going on within him. When he's showing me illness, I keep feeling like your dad died of something simple, like a common cold or something like that.
He had an infection in his leg and they went to clean it out and it just kept getting worse, and then he's had several strokes.
But did he also at the same time get sick as well? Because I felt double illness with your dad.
Yes.
So when I see double illness, I felt like he was going through all this in his body, but then there was one other thing that hit him, and I felt it was like a cold. Because your dad says to me this, oh, you know about that?
Yes.
Because he says to me this, he goes, Matt, he goes, please tell my daughter one thing. I made it out of a lot of things here in this world, he tells me. He says, and for most of my life, I was battling my health. Because he tells me there were all of these things that he went through here in this world. He says, but Matt, he goes, it got to the point where I couldn't fight anymore. Because all of a sudden, after your dad had that procedure, he says that his body had just given out on him. That's what he tells me. He says, so even though right after that procedure, his mind was there and he was strong and he was fighting, he says, Matt, he says, my body went without me. That's what it felt like to your dad. And what your dad says to me is that he's so sorry for what you had to see and what you had to witness. Because your dad tells me that you saw him in the moment that he had that procedure. It's like he completely changed and you felt like your dad died.
Yes.
Literally, right after he came out of that operation or out of that procedure.
Yes.
Because he tells me he was a completely different person.
Yes.
He goes, I want to let my daughter know, don't think of it that way. He says, what I want to let her know is that I'm very lucky that I got the chances that I had here in this world, he tells me. He says, and Matt, he says, I lived longer than anyone anticipated. He says, I lived longer than any doctor told me that I would live.
Yes, he was only 2 pounds when he was born. And so he was not expected to live, period.
All right. Is that the reason why within his life, he always battled the health issues?
Yes.
And that, you know what? That makes sense to me because your dad was telling me that he always had this weakened immune system. And that's why when I was telling you, I felt like there was a common cold that he died of, like it was something so stupid or so like normally people wouldn't die of, but he did the icing on the cake. That's what your dad had shown me. And I've never seen that in a reading before. This was actually the first time. But when your dad showed me like he had all these issues within his body and you would think that he would die like of a heart attack or like a massive bleed or something like that. And it was something as simple as just a cold. That's what he keeps showing me. He says, Matt, from when I was younger, he says, I never let my health get in the way of my life.
No, he didn't.
And he says to me that that's the one thing that he wants you to know because you and your dad were extremely close here in this world.
Very.
And he's going like this. He's pointing to you and he's going to me, Matt, he goes, my daughter, he goes, she's the reason why I lived as long as I did. He goes, because I wanted to see everything in her life. He says, I wanted to see her be a mom. I wanted to see her graduate high school. I wanted to see her in her first job. And your dad said to me that here in this world, he may have struggled through different points of his life. He says, but Matt, he goes, I kept asking for more. I just wanted more. I wanted to see more. I wanted to experience more. I wanted to be a part of her life more. And your dad said to me, I'm so thankful that God gave me that opportunity, he tells me. When I'm connecting with your dad as well, he's also shown me a child that's here. I'm wondering, did you know if he had a brother that had passed?
He did.
Because he's saying to me, look, this brother's here, this brother's here. So please know that that soul is also on the other side and your dad's way of acknowledging that he is there with everybody. Now, also when I'm connecting, all I keep smelling is cigarette smoke when I'm connecting with your father. So you used to smoke here in the physical?
Yes.
And what's so crazy is that he tells me that's one of the ways that he comes to you. So did you ever smell your dad's smell or smell that smell around you?
Yes.
That's his way of letting you know that he's there, because he's bringing that up. And what the hell is who had the farm back in the day?
There were a couple different farms.
I don't know what farm it is. Listen, all of a sudden your dad showed me this farm with farm animals.
I had a farm.
I'm wondering if that's where it is. Wherever it is, all I can tell you is this, is that your dad is showing me visions of him going and visiting that piece of land where that farm is or was. Because spirits will go and visit places that were special to them or things from their memories. And your dad keeps telling me, tell her I'm on the farm, tell her I'm the farm. I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I'm going to tell her. So please know that that's his way of acknowledging that. And he's also explaining that to me, because when I'm connecting with him, he's showing me the farm and I have all of these animals with your dad as well. So did you raise animals here in the physical?
Yes.
So know that all of your animals are there with your dad.
Oh.
Because it's always weird, right? As a medium, I'm so used to seeing like cats and dogs, but when I start to see weird things like cows and chickens and horses, right away, I'm caught off guard, because like I said, that's not with everybody. But your dad is letting you know that all those animals are there on the other side. He says, Matt, please tell my daughter it's okay. Because you feel that when you lost your father, you lost your best friend.
Yes.
He says, I want my daughter to know that in spirit, he says, I'm still connected to her. And what I'm so happy about, he tells me, he says, I'm genuinely happy, is that she doesn't have to worry about me anymore. Because every day that he was alive, you were so stressed over his health. You were so stressed about what was happening with him. And your dad tells me, Matt, he goes, let her know in spirit that she doesn't have to worry. He says, for once in my life, he says, I know what it's like to feel good. I know what it's like to feel healthy again.
Good. Thank you.
Please let her know the way that I reach her. He kept telling me birds. So did you keep seeing birds that remind you of your dad?
Cardinals.
That's his way of letting you know that he's there. He says, trust in those signs. Know that I'm there and that I'm with you. And there's one other sign that he sends you as well. I keep seeing horseshoes. How do you connect with horseshoes?
I have his horseshoe.
Hell up. Oh my God, I get so excited. Oh my God, that's crazy. Because your father says to me, if you tell her this,
that is the horseshoe that he found from my horse on my farm.
What?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No.
That's crazy. Oh my God, I love that. So please know, isn't that amazing how our loved ones validate? Like it freaks me out still to this day as a medium. Because it's his way of acknowledging that he knows that you still kept that there. That's pretty crazy. And it's amazing because I always ask spirits to tell me things that nobody else would know, right? Like the things that you can't Facebook, Google, or possibly know. So the fact that you have that horseshoe there, know that that's one of the ways that your dad also reaches you. So when all of a sudden you see that symbol in different places, that's a sign from your dad, letting you know that he's there and with you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to leave you with that.